Yeah, so if you see, you have a notification on that chat window saying recording has started. Okay, so if the recording is going on, then you would also be able to know. If not, if we forget someday, then please remind us to start recording. So okay, so now since we are recording, maybe some of you might ask, or even if you don't ask, you would be thinking that then why would we attend classes at all? Because the recordings are available, you would be able to see them later also. Okay, so one standard reason is what we just saw now. I mean, we cannot guarantee you that we will remember to record every session. So it can happen that we forget to record a session. So yeah, so that's one reason. But apart from that, we will also give you the slides. We will upload them to Teams. But even then, even if the recordings are available and slides are also available, it is not, it is advisable to attend the classes. You should attend the classes. Why? Because first of all, if you have any doubts, coming to the class and discussing them is easy. And that is what we would prefer. So please don't mail us doubts, or it is better that you come to class and then we discuss if you have any doubts. Also, yes, you may have several questions as and when we cover the material. So ask them. Feel free to ask questions. We encourage questions in general. Because you need to know how operating systems work, and for that you often need interaction, right? So feel free to ask questions at any point. Again, as I said, please don't start talking right away, but write in the chat, or at least write that I have a question, or raise your hand. Then maybe we will at some point give you opportunity to ask your questions. Also, there will be problems given to you both in the theory as well as in the lab. Do them seriously. So that is because this is a systems course, and the only way of knowing how systems work is actually trying to build systems. So in the lab assignment especially, we would actually ask you to write programs which will implement systems, like parts of operating systems and so on. So do them sincerely. Like, it is possible. See, operating system is like a traditional subject which has been taught for years in different courses at different institutes. So it is possible that some of the assignments which we give, you may get codes for them even in the internet. However, two things. One is that if you use those codes, you won't learn. If you simply copy paste and submit a code, you won't learn. So it's definitely not advisable to do that. And secondly, we will be checking for plagiarism. So please understand that we take plagiarism quite seriously. So there is an honor code given in the website. We will use standard tools to check for plagiarism among the submitted codes. And if we see codes from multiple students being too similar, then we would simply give all of them 0 for that particular assignment. We won't go into checking who has copied from whom, whether it was intentional or not, or whether someone has copied from the internet and so on. Right? If we see that multiple students are submitting codes which are too similar, then we will take a strict viewpoint and we would give all of them 0 for that assignment. That is the minimum penalty. And of course, if we see that someone is repeating the same thing again and again, that means submitting plagiarized codes multiple times, then we would go for stronger penal actions, which might include deregistering from the course. Right? So please take this seriously, do the assignments and the problems on the lab assignments seriously and honestly. So it's fine to discuss with others, but it is not fine to take code from someone or from the internet and just submit like that. Okay, fine. So that was a small introduction to the course. Now I would, so Moinak, you are raising a hand. Okay, so fine. So let this be a demonstration. So yeah, if I see someone raising his or her hand, we would give opportunity to to ask the question or to say something. So Moinak, yes. So please say what you have to say.
Right. No. Before I start, I just wanted to say that yes, I meant it to be a demonstration. Like if you want to talk, just raise hand, and it's just like a normal class, and then we can actually have the conversation. So what I wanted to point out is that as Saptoshi has pointed out, Professor Ghosh has pointed out already, that please come to class and join. One of the reason is that definitely two of the reasons that what he mentioned, that you really need to come to the class for the discussion, and sometimes we definitely forget to record like we did for almost first 10 minutes of the class. So please come to the class. And the second reason is that, again, I cannot emphasize it enough. This is one of the first systems courses, and systems, if you know, right? I mean, the real world systems are not really built by one person. They are built by multiple people collaboratively and via discussion and execution. So let this course be, even though it's an online course for now, even in offline courses, we generally tend to encourage discussions about the concepts that will be taught to you. All of you have used operating systems, be it Windows, Linux, Mac, and now we want to actually open up the hood so that you have the knowledge to build the next gen operating system, or at least use the current gen operating system to the fullest of their extent, like a computer scientist. So come to class, participate in discussion, ask your question, however crazy it sounds. However, we are looking forward to this discussion and questions. That is what I wanted to point out. About plagiarism, yes, please don't, because you will be caught. And last time it was a really, really big problem because a lot of people got zero in some things. Which they thought was working perfectly because they copied from an ideal solution that they got from someone else. That will be all. So, yeah.
Fine. So, yeah. So, continuing the demonstration, Moinak, please remember to lower your hand.
I just did. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Okay. So now we give you the opportunity, students. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand or write in the chat. Questions about the course, I mean.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. But so who are you? Please identify yourself.
Yes, sir. I'm Rajat Bachawat.
Okay, Rajat. So one thing. So this is exactly what I said not to do. Right. So please don't. I mean, this time it's okay. But in general, please do not start talking right away, because multiple people might start later. Right. Okay. So please raise your hand or write in the chat. Then we will give you the chance. But yeah, this time go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
I'm sorry, sir. I'll follow it from next time.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I just wanted to clarify if the lab assignments will be like will we have to form teams for the lab assignments, or will it be individual?
That will be told to you when the assignment comes. Like most of the
Alright.
assignments will be individual, but for some
Alright.
long assignments, we might go for teams, but that we would declare.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Prakash has raised a hand.
Sir, I am a Mac user, so is the Linux environment mandatory for the laboratory?
Moinak, what do you
Yes.
think? I think it would be better to have Linux, yes.
So the short answer is yes. The long answer is that the people, even when they're using Windows or something else, we generally encourage them to use at least VirtualBox with a Linux image.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
So if you can manage that on your Mac also, that's fine. But at least we need to have a Linux kind of environment for the assignments. Okay, any other questions? Okay, if not, let me tell a few things more, then we will, yeah. So, okay, so one thing is like today and tomorrow we will mainly discuss introductory stuff. And about tomorrow, we have an announcement. So we are arranging for a guest lecture tomorrow. Right? So we have one of our acquaintances at Intel, at the San Francisco Intel office. We will send you. I mean, if you see the website, it's. I mean, the topic of tomorrow's guest lecture is already written there. If you see the schedule. So yeah. So we will have this guest lecture tomorrow. You will join the teams as usual. At tomorrow is the class is from 11 to 12. So at tomorrow 11 a.m. you will join the teams as usual. But tomorrow we will have a very interesting lecture, which will kind of be a bridge between the courses that you have studied earlier, say computer organization architecture, and let's say operating system. So as you understand, the speaker Avijit is from Intel, and as you know, most of our computers run on Intel chips. So that is what technically you would be talking on. We would give you the details soon. That like how is a computer system from a silicon chip? How is a computer system, built? You will give some overview of that, which hopefully will give you a bridge kind of idea of a bridge or an idea of how different courses that you are studying in the CS curriculum, how they fit together. Like you have already studied computer organization architecture. Some of you might have taken some electronics courses also, which have told you in more detail about semiconductor technology. Then now we are talking about OS. Also, you are studying networks, right? So at some point, these courses are being taught to you separately, but as a computer scientist, as a CS expert, you should have some knowledge about how different components fit together into building a computer system as we see. So tomorrow's guest lecture would be like an overview towards that. Okay. So make sure you attend it. I mean, of course, Mainak and I will be taking lots of classes, but these guest lectures are special because we actually try to get very renowned experts to give a few guest lectures. Last year also we had a couple. So make sure you attend the guest lectures because you will get to know something which maybe you won't get to know in this campus otherwise, right? So yeah, tomorrow we'll have the guest lecture. So Mainak, we should send them a mail with the abstract and bio and things. Yeah.
We'll do that. Yes.
Sure.
In fact, we can also post it on Teams. So
yeah, sure.
So we have a question from Neha, I guess. Will WSL work? So I can take that.
What is WSL?
Windows subsystem for Linux, right, Neha? You can speak if you're not. Okay. So the thing is that WSL ideally should work, but we cannot guarantee. The reason is, you know how WSL work? So you would know that each operating system provides some function calls. You can use the operating system as libraries and APIs. Naturally, Linux provides some specific library functions, and Windows provides something else. What WSL does, we try to actually take the Linux function calls and try to implement them using Windows 1. Consequently, not all function calls provided by Linux is implemented in Windows. The number was significantly less 2 years back. Now it is somewhat less. So you can definitely try in WSL, like using Windows subsystem or Linux. But if it works there, it is not guaranteed that it will work on Linux system, which generally run on larger servers and so on. Similarly, it is not guaranteed that if it works in Linux, it will work on WSL always. There are some differences, some corner cases. So the short answer is it might, we are not sure. The long answer is that just to be on the safe side, go with either a Linux installation or a VM with proper Linux. Does that answer your question, Neha?
Yes, got it. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, anyone else with any question? Okay, if not, then Phil, okay, I mean, even in the in the middle, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Okay, other than that, yeah, let's again, as I said, we won't discuss very much technicalities today, but let me just try to motivate what we are going for in this course and so on. So, all of you use computers, right? Today, PCs or yeah. So, let's talk about a PC, right? So, if you buy, maybe all of you have purchased a PC and you know the configuration. So usually we go for a processor like Intel or AMD processor. Then we have RAM, 4 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM. Then we have a hard disk, 1 TB hard disk, 512 GB hard disk. All these are components, right? So, and we all use many application programs, starting from say MS Word, PowerPoint, Teams, to different video games, to our computer games, or even like movies, movie players, etc. and so on. So basically, we are all users of computer systems. But in this course, we will try to go a bit under the hood and see how the systems actually work, right? So meanwhile, there is a question from Rishabh: which Linux distribution is well suited? I think any of Ubuntu or Debian would be okay. Yeah, Ubuntu. Yeah, let's go for Ubuntu. Yeah. So any like more or less recent version of Ubuntu should work. Okay, so coming back to what I was telling. Yeah, so we all are users of computer systems and different applications. In this course, we will try to go a bit under the hood and see how the systems work. Why is that necessary? Say, let me draw a few parallels from what we see all around. Maybe many of us know how to drive a car, or a bike at least. Right, even I know how to drive a car. But then, how many of us know the internal details of how a car works? Not much, right? Not many of us, I guess. Even not any of us, I guess, maybe, yeah. However, okay, so we can say that, okay, we do not need to know how a car works in order to drive one. And exactly the same way, you do not need to know how the system works in order to use a computer, because you have been doing that, I think, right from your school days, when you did not do even the computer organization course or the OS course. So clearly, we do not need to know how the system works in order to use it. However, we still prefer to know how the system works. Why? Because of many reasons. First of all, if you know how a system works, you can maybe solve many problems or use the system much more efficiently. Okay, so suppose we see one day that a computer system is running slow. Often happens. What can we do? Okay, standard approach, just reboot your computer. Well, but maybe after doing this course, you'd have some idea of what can be some potential reasons of a computer going slow. So basically, if something goes wrong, then the internal knowledge comes up. Just like driving a car, as I said, you don't need to know how a car works in order to drive it. But suppose you are driving on a highway and the car breaks down. Either you just call people up, oh, I'm stuck here, please come and save me. But if you know how a car engine works, at least to some extent, maybe if it is a small issue, you can repair it yourself. Right? So the good drivers, they actually know how a car works. So I guess at least, some of you might be interested in F1, Formula 1. What do you think? The Formula 1 drivers, do they know how a car works, or do they only know how to drive a car fast? What do you think? Yeah, what Satwik says, and trust me, that is the answer. They know every detail of how the car works.
Yeah, without one, you cannot get another, right?
Yeah. So basically, they have to draw out 110% of the efficiency of the car in order to compete in those events. That cannot happen unless they know each and every detail of how the car works. Right. So if you actually want to do good if you actually want to use a system very effectively or efficiently, you got to know how it works. Okay. So that is what we will, try to do in this course. Till now, we are just users of computer systems. Here in this course, we would at least try to get some idea of how a simple PC works, like a uniprocessor machine, a machine with only one processor. You might know that some machines are there which have multiple processors nowadays. We won't go into those in this course. For that, there is an advanced OS course also. Right? So the computer science department offers an advanced OS course. After doing this course, if you are interested in knowing more about systems and operating systems, then you can take that course. So we won't go there, but in this course, at least we will try to understand how a uniprocessor system works. Okay. And there is a lot to know about in that. Okay, so now let me spend the next 10 minutes in trying to motivate a few things. So Mainak, anything to add here?
No, I think we are. I think you covered most of the things. So if the students have any question, they can ask.
Sure. Feel free to ask. Yeah. So okay. Now let me just point out a few other things that. So in a computer, as I said, maybe assuming you know the configuration of the computer you are using. Let's say it has a processor. It has one processor, maybe an Intel Core i5 processor. Okay. But I guess you are running multiple applications right now. So you are on Teams. Who knows, you may be hearing music in the background. Hopefully not, but who knows? Or at least a movie may be running. Then maybe you have a MS Word open. So the question is, if you have just one processor, how are you able to run all these applications? Any idea? You can speak here. If anyone has any idea, you can speak here. Okay, fine. I mean, it's perfectly fine not to have any idea. See, that is what I.
Sir,
yes.
I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, go on. Who
hello.
are you? Please identify
Sir,
yourself.
No, sir, actually, it's okay. I was just going to say what Jan said in the chat. It's fine.
Yeah, tell it, Rajat. Yeah, tell it.
So basically, these are all processes which are basically given certain time slots to run, and so basically processes are running on a time sharing basis, and the CPU basically schedules processes and switches between them, so they run concurrently. It appears to us that they are running at the same time.
Okay, great. Yes, you are quite correct. In fact, I did not expect such a detailed answer right in the first class. So well done, Rajat. And also Jayant, I guess you know a bit more about how the system is working.
Yeah, I think just a quick thing. So that's actually almost correct answer. You mentioned that the processor schedules the processes, which is a little bit, on the other hand, there is more to it. We'll talk about it.
Sure, but yeah, I mean, at least the answer is more detailed than what I had expected it to be, given it's the first class. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. So, but of course, I mean, if the same question comes back to you from Mainak during your Grand Viva, then don't expect this answer to be appreciated. Okay. Then you will see a different side of Mainak. So yeah. Okay.
That was very kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So, but yeah, for the first class, the answer is excellent. Okay, so now what Rajat mentioned, and also maybe Jayant, that they're talking about the processor sharing. Okay, the same processor being shared by multiple processors or programs. in a way that we can't understand. Like, so from what Rajat and Jayant also are saying, it seems that let's say that you are running 10 programs together. So 1 second, the 1 second time duration is divided into 10 seconds, sorry, 10 parts, or okay, let's say, yeah, 10 small parts of 1/10 of a second each, and the processor gives 1/10 of a second to every program. And that is how 10 programs run in a round robin fashion. Okay, so process 1 runs, then program 1 runs, program 2 runs, program 3 runs, and so on up to program 10 runs, and then again program 1 runs, program 2 runs, and so on. But how come we don't understand this? So do you feel that this Microsoft Teams that we are using, or let's say the desktop that you are seeing on your computer, it's always showing, right? So does that answer seem correct, or what's going on? How can this happen that multiple programs are using the processor at some points, but we are not understanding? What is the key? Okay, Jayant is saying frequency is high. So Jayant, can you speak up? What do you mean frequency is high?
So like I meant like the time between the time taken by each processor in between the shifts are like very fractions of seconds, so we don't notice.
Okay. Okay, so let's, instead of using the word frequency, let's not use try to use technical terms today. So basically, I think what Jayant also is telling, the processor is really fast. I think from your computer organization architecture course, you have an idea. A processor, a modern day processor, can do millions of computations every second. Forget every second, like in every microsecond, a processor can do many instructions. So that is the idea, that the processor is running the programs not together but concurrently. Understand that there is a difference between the word simultaneously and concurrently. Simultaneously means actually the two things happening together. Okay, but concurrently means at one point of time one event is happening, another point of time another event is happening. Right? See, just like say Moinak and I speaking, we are not speaking simultaneously, because then you would not be able to hear anyone. When he is speaking, I'm silent. When I'm speaking, he is silent. That is concurrent. So the processors are also running, or the programs are actually running in a concurrent way. At one point of time, the processor is only running one program. At the next instant, the processor is running another program. At the third instant, the processor is running a third program, and so on. However, this switching from one process to another is happening so fast that we human beings, we are being made to feel that it's like every program is running always. Okay. So I think even from high school, what we studied in high school, remember you studied things like cathode ray oscilloscope, and sorry, not oscilloscope, cathode ray something, I forgot, CRT. So basically, how does a TV show? Actually, maybe we are being shown several images, but they are being shown so fast that human brain thinks that we are seeing a video. If many snapshots are shown to you very fast, you would think that you are seeing a video. Yeah, cathode ray tube. So the same thing applies here. Human brain has a limit to how quickly it can understand the two events are disjoint. Maybe if 2 images are shown to you, or maybe if 100 images are shown to you over a second, your brain would not be able to say whether it is seeing 100 disjoint images or whether it is seeing one video. The 100 number may not be accurate. I'm just making it up. Maybe if it is 500, right? But then the same thing here. The processor is running only one program at a time. But this, I mean, it is running the programs so fast that we are being given the, a feeling that every program is running always. We will discuss this in much more detail starting the next class. I will leave it up to Mainak to end the class. Just to remember, tomorrow we'll have a guest lecture, and then from Friday onwards we will actually start the introduction to OS and so on. So Mainak. You are muted right now. Yeah. Now.
Clearly my scheduler in my computer is not really working fast. Okay, so yeah, that would be it for today. So today, just to summarize, we actually talked a little bit about the course, what you will expect from the course in terms of course load. And we also talked about the, what is operating system and why you would come to class, actually participate in the discussion and ask to your heart's extent what you don't understand or what the ideas you have. We also talked about, why operating system is, I would say, extremely interesting, important, and were beautiful. We would have a guest lecture tomorrow. We'll send the abstract and bio. Please come there because you know COA, right? Computer Organization Architecture. And now you are going towards OS in terms of you are coming from silicon and then going towards more like user side of applications. So the bridge from silicon, the hardware chip that you bought, to the software might be, tomorrow's lecture might actually help to actually bridge that gap. We'll talk about it anyways throughout the course from beginning to end, that how does the hardware is taken, like hardware is used in operating system, but tomorrow would be an interesting start for that. For the lab though, one last thing that I want to tell before we end this class, for lab, we'll start from next week. And if there are groups and all those things are to be done and checked, we'll send you periodic updates and instructions via MS Teams. So keep an eye on that. And it's always good to have a full room than empty room. So even in the MS Teams, keep the discussion on and going. We have random channel and general channel. So you have any discussion points on have anything interesting related to operating system, something that came up that you just want to let people know, and so on and so forth. Let's have that immersive experience and let's keep the discussion going along with our learning. Okay. Good to have you here. And I think that's all from me. I'm signing off.
Okay, let's stop then. Thanks everyone for joining. So please come tomorrow at 11 a.m. for the guest lecture. We'll send you the details. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
By the way, just one thing. Today's class went okay, as in you are able to understand what we are telling. Things are clear?
That's a question.
So those of you who are still here,